All right, so we're opening up Illustrator and we're going to go ahead and start with a new file. It gives you an option right up off the top here to choose what kind of file you want. I'm going to make a file that is for print. So I'm going to click on print, and then when I do that, automatically the paper sizes of documents come up. So you'll see letter, A4, which is the European letterhead, print large, or legal. We're going to just choose letter. So I'm going to go ahead and choose letter. And then if I look over here on the right, I can do some preset details right away. So I can say a name for my project. So I'm going to call mine Illustrator Demo 1. And then I can choose how it's going to show me measurements. So right now it's in points. I'm going to move it to inches. So that tells me I'm on an 8.5 inch by 11 inch piece of paper. I can choose the orientation. I'm going to go ahead and make it landscape versus portrait. It comes naturally, defaults to portrait. I'm going to make it landscape. I can also choose how many artboards I want. Right now, I'm just going to use 1. Artboards are like pages. It means how many pages I'm going to have. Right now, I'm just going to have 1. I can also set up what they call bleed, and that is for when we're doing publications or things we want to go off the page. We're not going to worry about that right now. And then I can also choose color mode right at the beginning. CMYK color is process color, and that's the kind of color we use if we know we're going to print something out. I've chosen print, so it's going to automatically go to CMYK. If I would have chosen web, I want you to see how it immediately changes to RGB. So it kind of already gives you the kind of color you need for the document you choose when you choose a web or print-based document. Web means it's going to stay digital, and RGB is what the color is we're using and we're looking at on our screens. So in other words, it's color made of light is RGB. And if I go back to print, it goes back to CMYK, and CMYK is process color, which is what is in our printer. So when we print something out of a printer, it's printing out in cyan, magenta, yellow, and black. So I'm going to go back to my orientation, go back to my inches. And then the next thing it's saying is raster effects. Because, again, I'm printing, I want to have a high resolution image, and that means 300 pixels per inch. If I was using a web, I want you to see how automatically it changes to 72 pixels per inch. Because the raster effects, the screen is a lower resolution, so I can make artwork in a lower resolution. But recognize, if I make artwork in a lower resolution, if I, in other words, and that's if I add a raster as a photo, it won't work as well on a printed piece because it's 72 dpi. So we're going to go print, and really everything we're going to do is going to probably be vectorized, so it won't matter as much. We're not going to really have raster effects in Illustrator, but that's just the difference to be aware of. Okay, so then I'm going to say create, and then I have a worksheet. It's an 8.5, 11 page size, and it is horizontal or landscape. Okay, so now let's just quickly go through. The first thing we want to do whenever we're working is choose a workspace. So we're going to go under Window and Workspace. And I want you to see that most likely yours is on Essentials. That's kind of the default. And I want you to see there's classic, layout, printing and proofing, tracing, typography, web, all these different sets. For what we're doing right now, we're going to just leave it on. Do I want to put on painting? Hold on a second. Let me just think about what we're doing. Oops. Get rid of that. I just want to look at these two differently. I should have done that before class, but I didn't. Yeah, let's go ahead and use tracing. Let's use tracing for this. There's a tracing one. This is a newer one. Let's use the tracing workspace because we are going to be tracing. So let's use the tracing workspace. Mine is too big for my window. I got to shrink my window size down. The way I can do that is just hit this green button. And when I hit that green button in the corner, it scales my artboard to my size of my screen. Okay. So I want to show you the kind of your way around. And that is, we're in, we have a toolbar, which is up here on the left. I like to keep mine on my left, but you can notice by touching the top of it, you can move this toolbar anywhere you want. I like it on my left. It's kind of just habit the way I've always had it. It used to not be able to be movable, so I just got used to it. And now it is movable, so I still like it on its left. I'm just making my window a little smaller. It feels a little too wide. Okay, so let's start with the tools. That's what we're going to start talking about. First of all, there's two tools we're going to use all the time. The first one, the very top one, and if you roll over it, you're going to see it's going to tell you what it is. It's the selection tool, and it allows you to select entire objects. Then the one below it is called the direct selection tool. And if I hold it down, it also has a group selection tool and a lasso tool. I'm going to walk through those in a minute. Let me grab a shape to show you what I'm talking about. So I'm just going to make a quick little shape here so I can show you how these tools work. So here is a rectangle. This new little toolbar that you're seeing here is brand new. This just came out this semester because all of our computers in the lab and the latest version of Illustrator is including this new Generate AI and Firefly. So this is all brand new technology in Adobe Illustrator, which is AI technology. So you're going to see every time we open an we open up a shape in Illustrator, we get this extra path, this new toolbar that they've added down here.
So we can use AI in Illustrator?
Illustrator does include AI now. Yes, it does.
No, I mean, we can use it. It's fine.
I will let you know when we can use it. Not right now, but there will be times you can use it. Yes. And we'll talk also about how and where we use AI. Okay. So, all right. So I have this. I'm not going to worry about this bar right here. So here's my selection tool. If I grab this, it means it moves the whole rectangle. If I go to my direct selection tool, that means I'm selecting, just one piece of the object, and I'm distorting it. I'm grabbing just individual points. I just hit Command Z, which is the undo. So the first key command you want to learn is on a Mac, it's Command Z. And if you're on a PC, it's Control Z to undo. You can see these little radial elements. Let me zoom up. Zoom in. So when I'm in a shape, I'm going to zoom in a little bit more so you can really see it. If I go into the corner, you can see my cursor, my direct select cursor has a little arc at the bottom underneath it. If I click that, that means it's allowing me to round the corner of a shape. And I'm doing it for just one corner. Okay, I'm doing it on this. I can do the whole shape. Or I can use it and just do one corner. Or I can hold the shift key down and do the whole shape, turn it into a circle, or just one corner. Oop. Hold on, undo. Oh, why is it doing all of them? I didn't want them. There we go. Doing just the one. Question? Okay. When I'm demoing, I should also point out, I can't see the chat always. So if anyone has a question, just turn your mic on because I can't always see the chat when I'm sharing my screen and doing a demo. Just putting that out there. Okay.
Sorry.
Yeah.
How did you unstick it from all of them? Mine's also stuck on all of them.
Okay. So once undo. Okay. You need to grab just one point first. I'm sorry, I'm using the wrong thing. With the direct select tool, you want to go back and just grab that one point, and then you can grab just the one corner. The reason it's doing all of them is because all 4 corners have been selected. So click off of it in the white area, the blank area, on using your direct select tool, and then go back to selecting just one anchor point.
Yeah.
Yeah, so that's the difference. So if all 4 points, so for example, if I use the the selection tool, and then I go in with my direct select tool and grab the corner, it's going to do all 4 because all 4 corners have been selected. If that keeps happening, you want to click off so everything deselects and then select just the corner you want to change the corner for. Kind of fun, right? Okay. So I'm going to delete that. The next tool on the list here is the pen tool. This tool has been around since the beginning, and it is a little complicated to get used to. And so it can add a lot of frustration when we're learning Illustrator is to use this pen tool. But once you get it, it's very powerful. But there's a lot of new tools where the pen tool used to be all we had. There's a lot of new tools that allow us to do a lot more, and we don't need to depend so much on the pen tool. So my goal ultimately is to get you to understand what the pen tool does, but to know that there's a lot of other tools we can use. We don't always have to use the pen tool. So here's how the pen tool works. It's a little tricky, and for us newbies, it's going to be a little wonky and frustrating at times. So what it is you have the pen tool, you click, and then you move around and you see that it has a little tail. And if I click again, and I just click, and that's how I make straight lines. And then I can click and close it to make a closed shape. And you know it's making a closed shape because when I roll over, and let me zoom in so you can kind of see what I'm talking about. When I come here, you can see that my pen tool creates a little circle underneath it telling me it's about to close a shape. So when I click there, boom, it's closed a shape. And I'm going to make my outline a color so you can see what I'm talking about. So there it is. So let me zoom out. That's a shape I made just with straight edges. But the pen tool, oops, you're going to notice that it click and drag, these little handles come out. And then a line comes out that's bendy. And if I click and drag again, look at that. I have a little like a scallop making. And then I can come over here, click and drag again, this time in the other direction. And now I have this. Click and drag. And you might say, huh, what's going on? Because it's filling this black shape. That's because I have a fill lined up. Over here, I'm going to take that fill off. I'm going to make this another color. Okay, so here is this shape I'm making. I'm clicking and pulling, clicking and pulling. So now I've made a shape using curves with the pen tool. Now I can go back to that direct select tool and change the shape of these handles to make these curves, edit and change. Or I can stay in the pen tool and hold my option key down and I get this little like pointy shape. And when I get that, that's called a corner. I can go on to my points and take the handles off or add the handles or make a corner by clicking and clicking on and off. So I can pull it, I can bend it and make a corner. I can do that with other ones. I can click. Oops. You got to hold everything down though. You have to hold that option key down in order to get this factor of the tool. I'm holding the option key down, which is allowing me to make these what we call corners. A little tricky, and it takes some getting used to. You can also do it by going to the direct select tool and adjusting these handles. And moving things around. I can also select this handle, let's say, and you can hold the shift key down to create symmetrical curves or straight lines. Those are some of the features of the pen tool. I don't expect you to get it all done the first time. I just wanted to show you some of the ways it functions. So like this functions, this is all made with the pen tool straight lines. I can still go in and edit it with that direct select tool. Here's the bendy lines and the corners. But I want to show you another tool that's kind of cool, and that's the one right below the pen tool, and that's called curvature tool. And the way this one works, I'm going to make this a different color so we can know that curvature tool is in a different color. Okay, so here's the curvature tool. I make a dot. There's no line coming off of it. So I'm going to move my curvature tool over and click again, and now I have a line. And now I have another line, and now it's creating another line, and another line, and I'm making, oops, and I'm making another line, and now I'm connecting them. Oh, it's not letting me connect them. There we go, connecting them. So everything is rounded, nothing is straight. So I can do anything that I want it to be real curvy and organic. It's much easier than using those Bezier curves, just playing with this curvature tool. So not as fussy as those Bezier handles. There are no Bezier handles on the curvature tool. It just gets a little used to kind of the way it functions. So it's a little wacky, but play with it and you can kind of see how kind of fun it can kind of be. And you don't always have to make a shape. I'm just making shapes because I think it's easier. You can just also make it be a line that just ends. And then you're like, oh wait, how do I end this line? Just go ahead and click on your direct select tool. Click off of the tool and then it'll just stay a line. Oops, sorry. And you can go back to the selection tool. And now with the selection tool, I can move that line without changing its shape. If I try to move it, you can't move the line. You can just change the shape with the direct selection tool, like with this tool. And then it shows me those Bezier handles once I hit the direct select. But if I just grab the selection tool, I can move any of these shapes easily and they don't change. So I can move them around my artboard any which way I want. So the blue lines are made with my curvature tool, and the pink and red lines up here are the pen tool. These are the pen tool. I'm going to pause here for a second to see if anyone has any questions, and look at our chat to see if anyone has any questions.
I had a quick question.
Yeah.
So what do you hold on your keyboard to zoom in?
Okay, good question. Command plus or minus on a Mac, or control plus or minus on a PC.
Oh, that's for Zoom, right?
That's for Zoom. Plus or minus on a Mac, command plus or minus, or control plus or minus.
Is there a way you can use your mouse to zoom in?
You can right click and then go down to zoom in. If you have a PC type mouse, not a Mac mouse, you can right click and then choose zoom in on the mouse. And for those of you with programmable mouse, you can probably program it to do that.
Sorry, I'm on PC. If you press spacebar and hold Alt and then use your scroll wheel, tell me if that works.
Oh, you know what? That works for me using spacebar option and the wheel.
Did it work? Because I know it works for me on my PC, so.
Good. Thank you, Luna. Thank you.
Yeah, that worked for me. Thank you.
Okay, good. Thank you. And that was another good point, is the space bar. When you hold down the space bar, notice how the little hand shows up when I'm in the selection tool. So you want to move around your artboard. You can use your scroll wheel or your mouse moving around with hold the space bar down and a little hand shows up and it allows you to move around the artboard. Okay, good questions. Okay, I think we have just enough time to start with the shapes, and then we'll end there for today. And so the next thing on the list is shapes, and if you click on the shapes and hold it, you're going to see all the shapes. So there's a rectangle, an ellipse, a polygon, a star, and line segment. There's also the key commands right next to the rectangle and ellipse. So the rectangle command key is M, the ellipse command key is L. So let's start with rectangle. So we can go M, and we're in the rectangle tool. Now, if I just start making a rectangle, I can make it any way I want. If I want to make it symmetrical, I can hold the shift key down. Once I hold the shift key down, it's only going to make a perfect square. Okay. So there's our square. If I notice how it made it from the upper left-hand corner, always from the upper left-hand corner. Let's say I have a situation where I want to make it from the center. I can hold the Option or Alt key down and have it grow out of the center. I can also still hold my Shift key down. So if I want to make it symmetrical, I can still do that. So the difference is Option or Alt, it grows out of the center. Or just regular, it grows out of the upper left. Shift key to make it symmetrical. Okay, that's square. Let's move on to circle. Same thing, circle, just start drawing it. I can make it an oval, any shape I want. It grows out of the left corner. If I hold my shift key down, it's going to make it a perfect symmetrical circle. If I want to grow the circle out of the center, let's say I want it to grow right on the center of this corner. I'm going to hold my Option key down and my shift key because I want it to be perfect. And there, now I made it perfectly centered inside my square. And if I want to do it from the upper corner, I can do it that way too. Okay, so that's my circle. And then polygon. more room. Let's move down. Polygon, I start a polygon and it's growing right out of the center. Let's say I want it to be symmetrical. I can hold the shift key down and it's growing symmetrical. Let's say I want to have more sides to my polygon. I can click and drag, and then I can use my arrow keys up or down to make more sides to my polygon until it goes all the way back to a square. So I'm using the up and down arrow keys to change the sides on my polygon. Let me zoom in a little bit so you can see that a little closer. So I am taking my polygon, and I am changing the amount of sides by using my up and down arrow keys. Okay. I'm making it symmetrical by holding the shift key down. Okay. Then let's go to the star. Here is a star. Same thing, up and down
Oh,
arrow
we can
keys.
change the shape. Oh yeah, we can change the shape, right?
See, up and down arrow keys allow you to change. I'm still building it. You can't let go. You're clicking and holding it on. You're not letting go. And it allows you to change how many points on your star. And if you want it symmetrical, same thing, hold the shift key down and it will make it symmetrical. So try that. And it's going to remember the last thing you did. So let's say I have this star and then I want another one. It's going to make the last star I did. It's just going to keep it. Okay, so the polygon and the star, you can make as many sides as you want. And then the last tool on this panel is the line segment. And the thing that the line segment does is it allows you to make lines and it stops when you stop. It's not like the pen tool where it keeps going or the curvature tool where it keeps going. I can just make lines, single lines, as many and however long I want, as many as I want. So that's kind of handy. And there's some cases you'll want to use that where they're not making shapes, they're just single individual lines. So those are all the tools in the shape tool, which is underneath usually the rectangular tool. And right there is where we're going to pause for today. So these are the first tools that you're going to be using. And any other questions that came up as you were playing with this? We'll zoom out so we can see all the shapes we made. All right, well, go ahead and you can save this. Let me just show you how to save, and then you'll have it for next class when we keep building
Command
on the
S.
tools. What?
You press Command S for save, right?
Oh, right. Sorry. Yes, you can go under the file menu and go save or Command S. Exactly. Just like any other. And you can choose your computer or the Creative Cloud.
Of course, cloud, guys. Don't save anything in your computer. Trust me, just on cloud. That's it.
Right. But the thing is Creative Cloud, I will say the one thing that has changed with Creative Cloud is they're no longer we are enterprise users at COD here, and I don't think they're giving us a way to save to the cloud anymore through Adobe. So what I'm going to have you do is save it to your computer, but what you're not doing, you're not actually saving it to your computer. You're going to save it onto your OneDrive. So,
Okay, that was gonna be my question. I was like, can you instantly just save it to your OneDrive? Or do you have to save it to your
Right.
computer and then transport to your OneDrive? Because that would be
You should be able to set up your OneDrive. Like, for example, I'm trying to think if I have my OneDrive saved that way. Right now, I have my iCloud Drive saved that way. I thought I had my OneDrive, but I don't see my OneDrive on here right now. This is a new computer for me as well. It might be something we have to save up. Mine used to be on the left side here. I don't see it. My OneDrive used to be right over here, and it's not there. So I will have to get that information and get back to you on it, why it's not there, because I don't have it on mine either all of a sudden. So at the moment, I'm going to put it in my documents folder. I'm going to put, well, for me, I'm going to put it on my desktop, but I want to have you put it right into your OneDrive. Which is anyone seeing their OneDrive? I mean, I'm not seeing mine, which I normally do. Let me just look on my settings. Maybe it's something I don't have on my settings. Are you guys seeing your OneDrive or not on your options? That's iCloud. How do I set up where's my iCloud? Are you guys hearing me or no?
Oh,
yeah,
yeah.
we can hear you.
Oh, okay, good. I'm sorry. I was sitting here going, wait a minute, maybe you guys aren't hearing me.
No, it's just that I don't have OneDrive set up on my main computer right now. Or not yet, at least.
All right. You know what? We'll start. Here's what we're going to do, because I know we're at the end of class. Let's save it to your computers right now. When we start class on Thursday, we will all make sure we have our OneDrive set up so that when we're saving from Adobe, we can go right and save right into our OneDrive. Because what we want to do is have everything that we're saving and working on saved to our OneDrive, okay, ultimately. So for the moment, you're going to need to save it as onto your computer, and then you can save it into your OneDrive from here manually. But I know there is a way to save it directly onto your OneDrive. So I'll get that figured out so that I can share it with you, because I used to have it set up that way and it's not at the moment. So I'm not quite sure offhand what I need to do. So I'll figure that out and we'll talk about it on Thursday. How's that sound? All right. I'm going to stop recording.